It's podcadzo.
Remember in like the 2000s, like George Bush, how like we had "Don't Ask, Don't Tell" in the military.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
that's
just
like
talking
the perfect
about
example
that with
of
someone. That's crazy that was a...
that we just agreed that was okay to just be a thing that we all agreed to.
Well, it's like the same thing with like "Don't Say Gay" in Florida. That's like the modernized version about how like teachers, like if they're gay, they're not allowed to like say.
Oh, really?
It's like illegal.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
So it's just
like
don't
the
ask,
first-
don't tell in a
classroom.
Yeah,
classroom.
it is like the first instance of that long-running thing of Republicans just being like, we'll acknowledge that this thing is happening, or that this thing happens all the time. Like, we'll acknowledge that people are gay.
We'll acknowledge it once,
We just
right
can't
now,
talk
and
about
then
it,
never
though.
talk about it
Yeah,
again.
we just can't talk about it. If you're gay, that's fine. Just do not tell me. Please. For the love of God, do not tell me, because then I'm going to think about you having gay sex. And that's not because I'm gay. That's because you're gay.
It's not a problem with me.
That's definitely a reflection of you and not me.
If I can only view you as what your sexual orientation is, that's a you problem.
Yeah. My buddy was just telling me that they are thinking about implementing a don't ask, don't tell with drugs in the military, where they won't drug test regularly.
I think that's
It's
genius.
primarily for weed, I guess.
I think that's
And
genius.
I think for other drugs too.
I mean, how are you really going to be smoking weed if you're in the military anyway?
I'm sure they can find time to do it. What do you mean? They have breaks, weekends.
I mean, I guess I don't know the law specifically, but like in Colorado, like we're not even allowed to have a dispensary within like 30 miles of a military base.
Is that true?
Yeah.
The federal reasons.
Like the military base in the Springs doesn't have
Well, Springs is weird.
any dispensaries
I was gonna say,
remotely
they're-
close to it.
they're
And then
weed-
obviously
really
like
weird about
Wyoming,
weed
if you have
anyways.
like a ram in Wyoming, you'll go to jail. So
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
I don't know, but I think it makes sense
It
because I
makes a
think
lot of
lots of
sense.
people want to use marijuana, at least in the military.
Recreationally and otherwise.
Recreationally.
I'm sure they're like
medicinally.
drinking in the military. And
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Smoking
They drink
cigarettes.
so much in the military.
I mean, they definitely smoke weed in the military already. They just, like, do it discreetly.
Yeah.
I knew a guy in high school, or I went to high school with him, who smoked weed intentionally to get dishonorably discharged from the military
Really?
after enlisting.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I knew a guy who was...
Wonder where he's at today. Probably doing good things.
Yeah.
Probably doing something awesome.
Yeah.
I knew a guy who got dishonorably discharged from the army for weed, but he didn't do it on purpose, unfortunately.
He smoked weed on accident.
A joint
He
fell in his mouth.
tripped and landed on a joint. All right, everybody. Welcome back to
Oh,
Pod...
that was Celsius?
Yeah, don't you have a box full in your fridge?
No.
You went through them? Burned through them?
Are we starting it here?
Start now.
You can't buy, like, 4 packs of just one flavor. Like, all of their... Well, I think there's, like, 2 or 3 flavors where you can buy a 4-pack of just one flavor.
What does that have to do
But-
with...
Because I only want Arctic Vibe. So I have to buy the cans individually. So I only ever have, like, 4 cans at a time.
What's
Because I
the
just buy enough for,
other-
like, 1 week.
Astro Vibe? Do you like Astro
I don't
Vibe?
like the
Vibe is good.
Astro.
I think Astro might be
That's the fruit
taking
punch
the lead.
one.
It's like candy.
It's like marshmallow and
Oh, the marshmallow orange one.
yeah.
Love it.
Mm.
Not a big fan.
That's the fantasy vibe.
Oh, is that Fantasy Vibe?
Yeah.
Which one's Astro Vibe?
I think
Astro tastes like Skittles, I think.
Oh.
Or is that Arctic?
I don't know.
Is
They-
this-
No, Arctic tastes like kind of like blueberry.
The vibe
Red Bull.
ones are good though.
I only go for the vibes. I wanted Arctic, but this one was tropical.
I like the Oasis vibe.
Oasis is good.
It's like
Peach
prickly
Vibe
pear.
is so good.
and some shit. Like lime and prickly
Yeah, it's
pear,
lime and
maybe.
prickly pear.
It's an interesting mix.
I was trying to think of an Oasis pun I could make for that beverage, but
Like the band.
like the band.
Did you guys see the Jane's Addiction thing?
No.
Pretty funny. I don't know any context, but it looked funny.
So
Fighting mid song
yeah,
is just
they were
funny
playing
to
a
me.
show. I forget where
I'll have to
exactly
look
they
this
were
up.
playing the show, but then at the end of one of the songs, Perry Farrell just walked up to Dave Navarro and was just like, "F you," and then started swinging on him. And no one really knew in the moment
Did
what
he
was going
finally
on.
look at him? Is
Yeah.
that what-
Yeah.
Did he finally take in Dave Navarro and was like, what the hell?
Bro, what's going on with this whole... He's doing this thing with eyeliner these days where it's just like really heavy eyeliner and then it like runs down his face, but it's not like a specific shape. It's weird. But anyway, yeah, they got in a fight on stage Perry started swinging at Dave, and then I forget the bassist name. I think it's Eric Avery, I believe.
I don't care.
Came up to defuse the fight and wound up fucking just punching Perry Farrell in the stomach 4 or 5 times.
Wait, the drummer
to
did?
defuse the bassist. Defuse the situation. Yeah.
Oh my god!
And then
that could not happen to a funnier band.
Perry Farrell's wife posted the next day on Instagram and was like, "Before anyone just starts speculating, I just want to say what happened." And then she started in my opinion, just overly speculating and obviously taking Perry's side because she's Perry's wife, and she was just the reason why Perry's upset is because of the stage volume. It was just so loud every night that he couldn't hear himself, and he just wound up losing his voice every night because he was screaming.
He's
to
got
get over
in-ears.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
How the fuck is the
I'm
stage
literally
volume?
looking at a picture from the show
How
last
the fuck
night.
is
He's
the
got
stage
in-ears.
volume a problem for you, my guy, in the year 2024?
Crazy.
It's insane. But yeah, she was basically just he couldn't hear himself. We kept asking the band to turn down, and they kept not turning down. So then he just got increasingly madder and madder every night until, that night, I guess he couldn't hear himself. And then supposedly people in the audience started cursing at Perry because they couldn't hear Perry. So they were just fuck you, we can't hear you, which also makes no sense.
This is the most illogical
so
story.
then he got really mad and started swinging at Dave. And then Dave was
and then he
basically
totally
just,
kicked
defending
everyone's
himself.
asses.
And she was like, Dave got to look like the cool, collected, calm guy the whole time.
He did,
and Perry
very
looked
much so.
like the freak. And it's well, that's because Perry attacked Dave
Attacked
Navarro,
him
and Dave
mid-song.
Navarro didn't do anything besides
Right.
defend himself.
And play
the
too
fuck
loud, apparently.
is this bullshit?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's Jane's Addiction. I don't think you
It's a
want them
loud
to play
band.
quietly.
Yeah,
And the vocals are so buried in the mixes anyways, from what I remember of Jane's Addiction. I like their first album.
Well, and stage volume has nothing to do with what the audience is hearing, pretty
No.
much.
PA.
I don't know.
It's
It's
just
just
the front
nothing makes
row.
any
he
fucking
couldn't
sense.
hear him. He couldn't hear himself on stage, nor could the crowd from their position. So it's yeah, I have no fucking
Math
idea.
ain't mathin'.
Did they sound check?
I guess they sound checked without Perry, I guess, because the band had been getting increasingly louder, according to Perry Farrell's wife, and he kept saying,
Almost
"Hey
as
guys,
if they were warming up and getting into the performance, really feeling themselves. Speaking of rock dudes named Dave, how about the Dave Grohl
That's
controversy
crazy too."
Man.
The amount of My Hero memes on my Instagram have been popping off.
And I got another confession to make. Memes have been going crazy.
I saw a good one. Trump in the debate said something like, "I'm a leader in fertilization."
Yeah,
There's a
I'm
picture
leader
of
in
Dave and it said
fertilization.
leader of fertilization.
Probably the last guy you'd guess to have something like this come out, though. Honestly,
It's the
Right?
only
Huge
guy,
surprise.
only rock star, quote unquote, where something like this could be so detrimental to their reputation. Because
Yeah.
any other rock star that doesn't present as the good guy of rock and roll would be yeah, of course. he's-
right? That's a guy.
Yeah,
piece of
that's
shit.
been his
Yeah.
whole mantra. Well, I don't even know if it's his mantra or if it's just what society deemed him as, being the good guy. But
He leaned into it so much.
did
Did you
lean
ever read
into
his
it.
book?
No, fuck
His
no.
book was unbearable.
Oh,
I read it, but
It was called The Storyteller.
I kind of enjoyed
There's
it.
no way I wanted to
Yeah,
read
it's
a
called
book
The
that's called The
Storyteller.
Storyteller.
with
Like-
a serious picture of him on the cover wearing fucking Morrissey
There's
glasses.
multiple
Coke bottle
covers.
glasses.
They did an updated version with a new cover, and he's got hair wisping in the wind, and he's looking up into the sunset. It's so
he'll
crazy.
need he'll need to amend this
Yeah.
part into his book and drop a new version.
Yeah.
the final chapter.
Yeah, we're gonna need part 2.
Yeah.
The,
That is the only ethical thing for him to do. Add an addendum to it.
the most interesting part to me was how he specified that he's going to be in that kid's life.
Uh-huh.
It's because yeah, that's good for him. He wants to be able to do that, but what does that kid and mom think of this situation?
Yeah, well,
How is the kid growing up gonna think about that?
I don't see how the kid
my
ends
mom
up having much respect.
I wonder who the mom is. If it's just some person or it's another notable figure like that. because it's just like it's very interesting to think about that. Like,
Definitely, like I'm
Yeah,
the product of one of the most famous cases of adultery.
yeah, like my
That's
mom
why I
is just
exist.
like some person, and my dad is like Dave Grohl, like on tour. Like,
Yeah,
Well, and like,
is
I
that
mean,
better for the
realistically, Dave Grohl's gonna be like kind of an old man by the time this kid is like, 18 or whatever, an adult, for lack of a better term. So it's like, will Dave Grohl still have significance by the time this kid's 18? Otherwise, he definitely would. Like, you would think nothing would fuck with that guy's career for the rest of his life. But now it's like, this news coming out now, maybe he loses fans, or maybe
I think
people
it'll
take a
blow
temporary
over.
break or whatever, and then
yeah.
he just retires and fades off into the sunset like the rest of us, and then the kid just has a normal life. I don't see it
see him
going that
doing
way,
that.
but you never know.
Yeah.
I want to know when it happened, because for the last like year of this tour that they've been on, Violet Grohl's been with them like for the majority of it.
is that his wife?
It's his
Or
daughter.
his daughter. Okay.
She's been with them
Yeah,
playing.
Yeah, they've been playing because she sings on a bunch of the new songs, and she's been like singing with them, not every night, but a fair bit over the last year.
If it was like on tour, that's like such just like a cliche like
Yeah.
rock and roll thing to do. Like that'd be actually insane if it was
That would
on
be
tour.
insane.
It's like with
Yeah.
like some person.
Some groupie in the dressing
Oh
room.
my god.
It sucks too. Like, I feel
Imagine.
kind of bad with everything that he's been through over the last year or 2 years, but
Do you think that's like a reaction to that?
that's where my mind
I
wants
was
to
just
go.
going
But
through
I
it,
also
so he's like acting erratically.
feel like I'm looking for reasons to defend the behavior, which is inherently not a good thing to do when it's bad behavior. So,
Yeah.
but
I haven't
Don't
fully
cheat on your
processed
wife.
it yet.
yeah. Kadzo, word of advice for today: don't be a cheater. If you cheat, then fuck you.
Yeah.
I've been cheated on, and it sucks.
It is a bad
Don't
thing
do
to
it.
do to somebody.
Break up with them.
Yeah,
You're not happy.
yeah. Just be honest. It's way easier in the long run to just be honest than it is to fuck around and find out.
To lie.
Yeah,
So, welcome to Podcadzo.
we're talking about gay sex today.
Finally, Julian promises that a lot. Today's episode.
We're finally doing it today.
We were talking about hardcore punk, and please welcome back to the program, Collin Galloway.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Friend of the show, if I can say so.
Indeed. This is your third appearance. I think that solidifies friend of the show status. And first and foremost, member of the band. Podcadzo. Let's not forget that. So hardcore punk, fellas. Collin, have you listened to the first 2 punk episodes we did in the punk rock block?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
I enjoyed them, and I was looking forward to the progression.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, happy you're here
The
to
Clash is
participate.
incredible, of course.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, that's where I was going actually, what your thoughts are on the Clash and also just kind of like early punk.
Honestly, like I'm not as well versed in that. Like I understand the like impact of like a Clash and like a MC5 like proto like punk shit, but like I'm not super well versed. But like definitely like a Clash led the way for like a Sex Pistols, especially in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And then like that I feel like was like the biggest like catalyst for like looking like that way. Like,
Yeah.
Like making like that like revival style of like rock and roll, because like that's like what it sounded like then. It was like folk and like rock and roll,
Going back to like
almost.
the basics of like 60s rock, garage rock.
yeah totally like blues based like rock and roll
Yeah.
shit. Yeah
We were talking on the first episode about that famous like Sex Pistols show in Manchester where the Buzzcocks were there, Joy Division was there, a couple other bands that would be really big in Manchester before they were bands, and that's like that Sex Pistols show is what started them off making music. And I just watched this good BBC documentary today about the Hacienda Club in Manchester. Do you guys know the Hacienda?
I'm not familiar.
It's the club that New Order started actually
Sick.
in 1982 with Tony Wilson, who was the founder of Factory Records. Factory Records is the record label that signed Joy Division back in the day.
Yeah huh.
and they had like Happy Mondays on the label later on. But highly recommend it. The Hacienda Club became like the epicenter of like UK pop culture, and like was the birthplace of like dance music and house music in the UK. And they like credit it with the popularity of Ecstasy, actually, because like the club was kind of a failure until Ecstasy started going around, and then everyone was going to the club every single night and taking E and like dancing to this new
hard
club
as
music.
fuck, yeah.
So it's pretty. That only reminded me of it because they interviewed Peter Hook from Joy Division and New Order a bunch in it, and he brought up that Sex Pistols show. And then like the Hacienda was really like the next big cultural movement, like even close to the significance of punk that would happen, at least in England, I think. So it's kind of a cool through line there.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah. Anyways, what are your thoughts on the Ramones and like the early American punk groups?
I think they're a lot of fun. I think that they really brought the like speed factor into punk music, like being like as
Playing fast
as possible.
up-tempo.
Yeah, like the particularly like short and simple songs like really are reflected in the Ramones catalog, because like how many of their songs are like strictly just 3, 5, 7?
Yeah.
Like it's like truly like it's an endless combination of like riffs like that, and I think they're sick. Like bands like the Ramones. I'm trying to think of who else. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, that was another thing we talked about, that in like the American scene, there were like Ramones was incredibly impactful and like really the first like punk bands, and would inform Sex Pistols and the Clash. And then it was just crazy how quickly, to bring it to our topic today, like hardcore came up out of that, where like people took the Ramones and were like, we're going to strip this down even more. Like before there were like a bunch of Ramones copies, people were already doing like the next thing that was even more radical.
It's like where like my like interest comes in is like where bands like the Sex Pistols and like the Ramones were kind of like stagnating, and like punk had become like already like a commercialized thing with like both of those bands like being on major labels. Like even with Sex Pistols, like super short, like 10-year as a band, like they already were like pretty successful, like being like putting out their shit on like a major label, and just like commercializing like that look, like safety pin earrings and like studs and shit. And so like hardcore was like already a reaction to that, because you look at like the first wave of American hardcore bands like Minor Threat, Black Flag, Bad Brains, and they're like no one dressed like the punk shit, like how like what you like would think someone would look like. There was no Liberty Spikes, like really.
Yeah.
And, like,
Minor Threat were like
first hardcore at all.
normcore,
like cargo shorts, t-shirt shit,
Oxford button-up shirts,
like maybe shirtless. Like,
and then the straight edge thing too that would come out of hardcore pretty quickly, like even a rebellion to the excess of like punk music and drugs and alcohol.
I have my qualms with straight edge, but I think that it's definitely more important like positively than it is negatively, because like the main spirit of that, of Minor Threat like coining that, was to make shows all ages.
Yeah.
Which I think is super important, because otherwise you have just like a bunch of fucking boomers at your show.
Yeah.
No one like carrying the torch essentially for like keeping the music alive. So I think that them making that decision like for themselves to like not be involved in like self-destruction or whatever, but like also consciously make it like youth focused and like community focused, like at the shows specifically.
Yeah.
Which I think is the best impact of straight edge.
Ian McKay's a really smart dude. He had a lot of forward-thinking ideas.
Definitely.
And are you a Fugazi fan?
Honestly, I'm super sleeping on Fugazi. Like I know the big tracks, but like, yeah, I'm super sleeping on them for sure.
Yeah. It's like Minor Threat too, kind of where you can go through the discography, like you were saying, in 30 minutes.
I think when I was younger, I heard that they're like anti-mosh. So then I think I wrote them off.
Are they anti-mosh?
Yeah,
I
they don't
didn't know
fuck with
that.
moshing.
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's kind of interesting. I did not
and they're
know
like
that.
they're like such like hype band.
Yeah, that you'd think if anywhere you would mosh at a Fugazi show.
Yeah. Fugazi. You say it the Italian
It's
way.
Fugazi.
Fugazi. All right. Well, let's do a. We don't, like I was saying, we don't have to stick strictly to hardcore today, but I'll do a quick introduction.
Can we talk about Thrice?
We can talk
Because
about
Thrice is like post-hardcore and post-metal.
Yeah.
And I've been going through a big Thrice.
When are you not going through a big
Honestly,
Thrice
the
phase?
last like 3-4 years, I have not listened to Thrice really?
Really?
at all.
Bad
Yeah.
Brains to
Took a huge
Thrice
break.
is a straight point. Yeah.
Early Thrice.
We can definitely bring it to Thrice. But basically, hardcore punk was just punk rock that was faster,
Yeah.
more stripped back, like we were saying.
More passionate.
More
Like
passionate.
I think like it was a direct reaction to like the commercialization of punk and like
Yeah.
the surroundings, like Reaganomics.
It
Mhm.
was like a very good, almost instantaneous reaction to first wave punk. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
a lot quicker than most other genres. I would say like we kind of saw it with like grunge and new metal in like the turn of the century, but like nothing else really that close. Like even hip hop in its phases, it still took like a good while from first wave to second wave. So
Yeah, because punk, as radical as it was still very consumable and palatable for mainstream ears.
Right,
like,
like-
it was slow enough to bob your head along to, like Anarchy in the UK, for example.
Yeah, it's so
yeah,
like even the Ramones, yeah, it's like fast, but like it's so major and like so rooted in like pop music and like surf music.
yeah.
But it's like you can really grab onto it. So like even like the divide between like Black Flag and like the Ramones.
yes,
Like my grandparents could probably listen to some Ramones songs and be like, this is all right.
exactly.
Like if I put on like even Nervous Breakdown, the first Black Flag release, they would be like, whoa.
yeah, exactly. Hardcore is just not palatable for the mainstream ears and like older audiences.
Faster and louder.
More
and
abrasive.
harder. Yeah.
Yeah. So it,
Less like gimmick.
yeah,
No like look to it.
yeah,
Just
Yeah.
about
just
the like
how,
DIY sentiment, like with like someone like Ian Mackay
yeah.
or like Black Flag, like they started their own labels like to put out music, like with Discord Records with Ian Mackay and SST with Black Flag, Alternative Tentacles with Dead Kennedys. Like
Yeah. So
It was just, like-
printing their own labels.
yeah, like
doing the
instead
artwork.
of waiting around to do like big label shit, they're just like, this is what we fuck with, so like we are going to do what we can to like keep it alive and put it out like for our own sake.
Yeah.
Which I think is like when people say like it's the attitude, that's like really the like heart of it.
Yeah.
It's just like doing something that you want to do for yourself.
No doubt. Well said. So it started in the late 70s, like immediately after punk exploded. And the three epicenters of this movement were New York, DC, Washington, DC, which I always found it really fascinating how much great hardcore music comes out of DC. It's really interesting. And then also Los Angeles.
California was massive because it's just like so big. Like it had like three epicenters in and of itself.
Yeah,
with like
true.
there was like Los Angeles with like Black Flag, Circle Jerks, like X, Germs shit, and then you get to like Orange County and like Oxnard, which both had like their own sounds of like hardcore too. You like we hear with like it's called like Nardcore, which is what's referred to like shit like from Oxnard. It's like skate kind of focus and like that in Orange County with bands, like Adolescence and like Agent Orange type shit. It's like on more like surf and like skate type shit too.
I never heard Nardcore, but I like that a lot.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Yeah.
But yeah, those are definitely California, New York, and DC were like the catalysts, and it's sick because they all like sound completely different.
Yeah,
Like,
that was the cool thing about hardcore too, was each individual scene was like very different from all the other respective scenes around it.
Mhm.
And even in California,
Hyper-local.
like listening to the original California bands and even like the second wave punk bands talking about growing up in California, it's like if you went to the Bay Area, you'd hear a totally different type of music than if you were in LA. And the scene was like a different type of energy and everything was fully DIY. So nothing really like left its bubble. So people would kind of secretly draw influence from all the other scenes, but each scene still stayed like super unique.
Right, like it's interesting that way, and you can kind of track the like progression, how like LA shit was more of like it remained kind of staying on like that classic hardcore wave until it kind of progressed into like just like even heavier and faster shit, like grind shit, and then like New York shit progressed to the like Marauder, like Cro-Mags, like metalcore shit, like the breakdown shit, and then DC just evolved to like post-hardcore, like smart guy music. That's sick. Yeah, like how like they all had their own sounds and they all had their like own progressions, like from that even of itself, because like I think even with hardcore, like we were just saying, like punk moves like so fast because it's like it's always reacting to itself. Like even hardcore like had its like changes like just like a handful of years later. Like after that was like already played out.
I found a good quote just now on what we were talking about earlier. Blush, someone named Blush, I'll get his full name later, writes, the Sex Pistols were still rock and roll, like the craziest version of Chuck Berry. Hardcore was a radical departure from that. It wasn't verse-chorus rock. It dispelled any notion of what songwriting is supposed to be. It's its own form. Which I like that Sex Pistols are just like the craziest version of Chuck Berry. It's funny.
That is good. Yeah. Like Black Flag shit. Yeah, it's definitely not like they expanded to like create like sludge metal, even with like My War and like the progression from My War. Like they were like Nervous Breakdown is like pretty like classically punk shit. It's just like faster and angrier, and then you get into like the Jealous Again stuff, which is like slightly faster, slightly angrier, and then Damaged comes and it's like a fucking train runs over you with noise and aggression and angst, and then My War is like sludge shit. Yeah. Like it's super progressive, weird, jazz inspired, like crazy shit. So it's like it's sick that it never has to fit into like one like description of like what something is. Like even all of the first wave bands, like a lot of them don't sound similar. Yeah, for sure. Do you guys have like a favorite early hardcore band? Yeah, I'm like massively into a lot of like the LA bands, like Germs, X, Dead Kennedys, Circle Jerks, Black Flag, Agent Orange. Yeah. All that stuff. For like obvious hardcore bands, I always liked Black Flag a lot, and I remember just thinking like that was the one when I was younger because of the imagery and like the logo everywhere, and just seeing like the punk dudes I knew like wear Black Flag stuff. I was like, okay, gotta get into Black Flag. Like that's vital listening. And I still love Black Flag, but I've been listening to a ton of Dead Kennedys as of late, just randomly. Thought I'd refamiliarize myself with their discography. And yeah, I agree. Like eventually I strayed more towards like the LA stuff. Yeah. Such an interesting scene. How about you, Julian?
Probably about the same. Dead Kennedys, Black Flag. I feel like there's someone pretty important that I'm forgetting. Hit me with some bands. Hit me with some hardcore bands.
Germs, Bad Brains.
Bad Brains. Definitely.
Bad Brains was one I got into late. Like I never listened to Bad Brains when I was younger. And then just like a couple years ago, a band I caught up on.
Listened to a lot of Bad Brains in high school because of it was kind of like a reaction to listening to a lot of post-hardcore, wanting to like get back and find out like where it all went wrong, kind of, because post-hardcore got really bad in the 2000s for a while, like with all the pop punk and all that bullshit that was going on. But yeah, who else? Hit me with some more. My computer's dead. I would Google it, but my computer's dead.
I forget who said let's do this.
Hardcore
bands.
Google. We're very professional on this podcast. Make no mistakes.
How about Turnstile?
Hell no. I do
That
like
just came up.
Turnstile a lot. Don't get me wrong. Turnstile's cool.
I've been hearing people hate on Turnstile a lot lately.
Really?
Yeah, just as it being like
Weren't they like one of the most like beloved bands in the world like a year ago?
People
or 2
hate
years
having
ago?
fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
People love gatekeeping.
I think people
shit.
are mad Turnstile went a little bit commercial, and I don't think they did purposefully. I think that they were like nominated for a Grammy
Seems to be like
last
the
year or
first thing
something.
that
It was
always
like
happens
best rock album.
when a hardcore like we've had this conversation on the podcast before. Even if you are a DIY musician releasing music, no one's goal is ever to just like not get discovered. Like no one that puts music out is like, I hope that no one hears this and I hope that
Right.
it doesn't get popular. Like everyone
Right.
wants their shit to be popular. So like when you hate on a band for becoming popular, how does that make any fucking sense? You want to see them succeed, but then they do succeed and they react to it and you're like, oh, fuck you guys, you sold out. It's like,
I'm so like a high tide brings all
Yeah.
ships mentality person. Like Turnstile, like winning so hard like that, like only benefits everyone.
It benefits
because now
everyone
there's
in the
so
scene.
many more kids who wouldn't have listened to like fast guitar music than that like now are, and like some of them might not get into other punk shit, but like it's a guarantee that some of them will.
and they
Yeah.
lifted
like-
up a bunch of other bands around them too. Like they made the whole genre popular again for a bit.
And it's like people forget that also Turnstile themselves came from an incredibly fucking popular band, Trapped Under Ice, who like revitalized hardcore in the 2010s essentially, like,
Right.
in like the late 2000s, like 2010s.
Wait, that band split off and they formed Turnstile, or
Yeah, like
I didn't know that.
Trapped Under Ice, yeah, like kind
I remember Trapped
split
Under
apart,
Ice. I
and
didn't know
they
that was
formed
Turnstile.
some like offshoot Baltimore bands like Turnstile and like Angel Dust,
Mm-hmm.
both more like alternative type of punk bands who are like super popular today, but I think like only to the benefit of everyone.
Yeah.
And the benefit of sick guitar music.
Yeah,
That's certainly the best way to look at it. All right, Julian, here's some other names for you. Rattle some off. Bad Religion, Agnostic
Yes.
Front,
I guess.
Germs, Ramones, Hardcore, Circle Jerks.
Yeah, I never got as into Circle Jerks until later in life.
I love the like
But-
sardonic kind of like apathetic vocals.
Uh-huh.
Not apathetic, that's not the right word, but like the kind of comedic elements within like a Circle Jerks or like a Dead Kennedys.
Totally.
I think that's super, those themes,
A lot of
like,
tongue-in-cheekness.
yeah, I think those themes apply well to like punk shit. It's, like
100%.
especially like not taking yourself super seriously, but also like
Saying something, not
Yeah.
just like feeding bullshit to the ether, but
Yeah.
actually having a point.
totally like not just saying like government bad.
Yeah,
You know, like
Do you guys ever listen to Husker Du?
a little
super
bit.
It's how them. I don't think they're hardcore.
They're more.
They're
of a,
like late '80s indie rock. Kind of like they're like a harder form of the Replacements.
They're a little bit heavier than most of the other
Yeah,
traditional.
but people
rock.
throw them in with like the Replacements,
Mhm.
Dinosaur Jr.,
Mm.
like that group of band. But Husker Du is pretty cool. I think they're from Minnesota, or maybe do you guys like Replacements?
Replacements. Yeah, that's a good one.
I've really listened to them.
I think you would like the Replacements. What's the singer's name? The Replacements.
My computer's dead.
I'll look this up. Doing all the heavy lifting. This
I
one.
never remember people's names, unless we're talking thrice.
Why don't you go ahead and name the Thrice band members real quick while I'm looking this up?
We got Dustin Kensrue. I'm not gonna tell you who does what. Yeah, I'll leave that. up
That
to your
sounds like a
imagination.
guitar player.
Dustin Kensrue. We got Tepe Teranishi.
That sounds like a drummer.
We got
Paul Westerberg. You can shut. Paul Westerberg is the singer of the Replacements. You happy?
Sick.
Wait, say that one more time.
Paul Westerberg.
I was enjoying being cut off so much that I didn't actually listen to what you said.
I think that's the singer, isn't it? Yeah.
You got the computer.
Yep, singer of the Replacements. They have
We all know
they've been making a heavy appearances in my Instagram algorithm lately because there's this famous clip of them getting banned from SNL basically by just being so drunk and turning in such a sloppy performance that they were never invited back. But it's actually like an amazing performance.
Fear. That just reminded me of you saying like horrible SNL like experience. Like another.
I think we
sick
talked a little bit
LA
about
band.
Fear a little bit in the first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fear's dope.
Yeah, John Belushi really. Do you know that story? Of, like the
That actually rings a bell.
It
Remind
was
me.
either Halloween or New Year's. I can't remember. But John Belushi really wanted to get Fear on the show, so he got them with like, I think the trepidation of like the higher ups, or he didn't tell them because like they knew that they would be like crazy, and they got like a bunch of like crazy like DC like punk people to come up. So like when like Henry Rollins was living in DC, like he was really close with like Ian MacKaye. It's like Ian MacKaye and like Henry Rollins like gathered like everyone to like go to this show and like swarm Saturday Night Live.
That's crazy.
Like they did this performance and just like people just
I didn't realize they actually
trashed
ever
the
played
place.
SNL.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's legendary.
That's
Who
tight.
hosted? Is this Don Rickles? Introduce him. It looks like Don Rickles.
But like the normal SNL crowd of like adults,
Yeah,
essentially like sitting down and like viewing like some live comedy interspliced with like
Middle-aged coastal elites
like
looking
30
forward
to
to their
50 like
Yeah.
crazy fucking rabid like punk kids like jumping off the stage. It's pretty incredible.
There are some iconic SNL bands. Fear, now added to the list for me. Replacements, Sinead O'Connor. You guys remember that one? She tore up the picture of the Pope.
Oh yeah.
And Elvis Costello was actually banned for like the most benign shit. He just played a song that Lorne Michaels didn't want him to play or something. I don't know why, but they wanted him to play like his radio hit, and then he played a different song, and he got banned for that.
Oh, there's another story of someone doing something similar. I forget which band it was, but they were just told like there was one of their songs they just like could not play on SNL, and then they kind of like played a different song during rehearsal, and then they started off playing one song and then went into the song they weren't supposed to play.
Metallica did that shit.
Oh yeah.
It was for like some MTV thing, I think, and then they played what's that fucking song? I can't remember.
Enter Sandman.
No,
I'm gonna say Anger. The song.
Of course you would.
They were like, please do not
Your
play
favorite.
that song.
Here I found a.
They played So What? They were supposed to play King Nothing, and they played the song So What, which is like a punk cover. I can't remember the band, but the lyrics are like fucking crazy. And yeah, they were supposed to play King Nothing, which is like the radio hit, and then they busted out this crazy cover.
I found a list from Loudwire of musicians banned from SNL.
Thank God for Loudwire. Someone's still there keeping the lights on.
Cypress Hill is banned because they lit up a joint while performing. System of a Down is
I knew
banned
that.
I
for
didn't know that.
using F-bombs.
I think Darren or Serge said the fuck word like
It's a
pretty
picture of
blatantly.
Serge in this, so I'm imagining it was Serge.
What year was that?
2005. And this is funny,
Wow.
Johnny Knoxville was the host. That's the most 2005 pairing of all time. Johnny Knoxville introducing System of a Down.
God.
Sinead O'Connor, Fear.
What did Sinead do?
She tore up the picture of the Pope.
Oh, wait.
Well, staring
Do you not
into
remember that
the
one?
camera.
Yeah, I forget what song she was
Oh, yeah,
playing,
yeah,
but she
yeah.
really dramatically.
Yeah.
And she said something about being anti-Catholic while doing it
Rip.
too. She wasn't. Yeah, rest in peace for sure.
Why would you be
I thought you meant
anti-Catholic?
rip to the paper. Yeah, what do you have against Catholics, Colin? Haven't you seen the Young Pope?
What did they ever do?
I have seen Young Sheldon. Are they related?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Young Sheldon, actually, it's 50 years in the future. He is the Young Pope.
Okay.
Wait, that would be the Big Bang Theory.
Young at age.
After the Big Bang Theory, Sheldon becomes Pope.
And then, of course, you give old Sheldon afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After he retires from being the Pope. Then he's just a normal old guy.
No, that's just
getting
him.
into normal old guy antics.
Him in heaven. Rage Against the Machine shredded an American flag. Elvis Costello played a wrong unscheduled song. Replacements got too drunk. Frank Zappa
It's like
got banned.
this.
What did Frank do?
Frank Zappa Frank Zappa was tapped to be both the host and musical guest for an episode in 1978. As a creative force behind some of the 70s most outlandish and progressive music, Zappa was expected to make a noteworthy host.
I asked what he did.
What good writing from Loudwire. Instead, Zappa was a dud on stage and reported to be a giant a-hole off of it.
You can't say asshole.
You guys have to see
it's-
the ads that are on
bruh.
either side of the Loudwire issue. This is what I'm looking at right now.
My favorite news source
Yeah.
for all things rock and metal.
I like
Loudwire.
telling people what my personality traits are through my phone cases exclusively.
You love metal.
Take the quiz. How much do you love metal?
Which member of Metallica are you?
It's literally BuzzFeed for fucking aging rockers.
Yeah.
Instead of the take
For
the Harry
dudes who love AC/DC.
Yeah, instead of the take the Harry Potter quiz, it's what member of Metallica
Metallica.
are you?
Rick Beato ain't posted a video today. I guess I'll see if there's anything on Loudwire.
Have you seen the Rick Beato meme going around? The what happened to all the bands?
Yeah.
You mean just the
What does that
thumbnail for
even
his?
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the biggest tool
Where
ever.
are all the bands?
What happened to them?
I saw that on YouTube like literally yesterday with Kelsey, and I hadn't seen anything about it before. I hid Rick Beato from my YouTube because
I click on every video and dislike it, so it gets off my algorithm. But I think me clicking on it
No,
is
you clicking on it is
working
why it
against
keeps showing up.
Yeah,
That's why I had
don't
to
know what I'm
hide it
doing.
because I was hate watching it and then being pissed off when it kept showing up. YouTube doesn't know that I hate it.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably can hear what I'm saying, but they don't. They pretend like they don't know.
There's no more
But-
bands anymore, man.
I was just like,
What happened to
I
them?
saw that when I was scrolling on YouTube, and I was just like, wait, does he not? He like truly just doesn't have Spotify.
Also, I listened to the top 15 on Spotify. Has everybody gone crazy?
What is with music?
Yeah.
Are we destined to be ruled by rap and hip hop? That was another one.
Are we destined? Oh my
then
god.
make interesting guitar music.
Are you guys even
Like that's it.
Rather than complaining about the state of the world, how about you just like do something for yourself?
If like, what new shit is Rick Beato fucking listening to other than when he has like Tim Henson from Polyphion for clicks?
Yeah.
It's like he's not listening to an interesting rock band like Angel Dust or some shit like that. Like he's not giving forward thinking guitar music a chance.
No.
But he just wants to complain about it.
Yeah, well,
Because they're like, I feel like he would fuck with more like Greta Van Fleet.
yeah,
than, like,
He
a
would
Turnstile
absolutely
Angel
fuck with
Dust.
Greta Van Fleet.
It's like, now
These guys get
it. They're carrying the torch, man.
finally someone who sounds exactly like Led Zeppelin. This is all I've ever wanted.
I love that Robert Plant said it was like, "Yo, this band sucks."
Yeah. He kind of backtracked on it though, which I don't
Oh.
respect. Yeah. He made an apology statement.
I'm
from what I remember.
kidding.
He's like, I was just caught off guard. Like, if you listen to someone that sounds fucking exactly like you, you don't know what to say.
Real.
Are you guys even curious still on what Frank Zappa did to
yeah,
your
yeah,
band?
yeah.
What
I would
did
like
he
to
do?
know.
Well, so I've already mentioned he was a giant a-hole off of stage and a dud on it.
Mm-hmm.
I did mention that, right?
Yes,
You
you made it
did.
quite clear.
Zappa apparently didn't get along with the producers during the week of rehearsal and apparently didn't put out much of an effort. His desire to shun contact with the crew of the show caused much of the cast to bail on appearing with Zappa during the goodbye segment. Have you guys ever do you guys like Frank Zappa?
I love Frank Zappa.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
I've never really listened to his music, but his impact and him fighting against the fucking music rating shit, I think was important
like
in the
Billboard?
Supreme Court. Not the Tipper Gore shit. The
I don't really
parental
know about
advisory
this.
shit. He was
Oh,
a part of
he
the
was part of
I
that.
do. Okay.
he was a part of
About
the-
censorship.
the counter argument of that with Dee Snider of Twisted Sister and John Denver.
Oh, Dee Snider. That's so
That's
funny.
an interesting
about Dee
trio.
Snider.
Interesting
Dee
trio.
Snider. I
Crazy
want to hear
trio.
that record. Yeah.
Oh man, too bad we will never be able to. I always had a weird thing against Frank Zappa without ever giving him an honest listen through. I mean, I've heard Frank Zappa music today, but I've never really tried to understand it.
It's one of those things where it's so dense and so complex that you really have to, I think, listen to it multiple times before you. I'm not looking at anything.
Okay.
Relax. Fuck off.
Well, maybe you look at me.
No. Every time I look at you, my pants get shorter. It's awkward. Anyway, Zappa. What were we talking about? Oh, he's so weird that you literally have to listen to it multiple times, I think, before it makes cohesive sense. You know what I mean? It's if you listen to it once, it's going to be pretty weird. Listen through the album Apostrophe 3 times, and I feel then it's kind of you start to get it. Or
I've met his son Dweezil.
I've met Dweezil too, actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where'd you meet Dweezil?
At the Aggie.
That's where I met him.
Yeah.
You went to a show.
Mm-hmm. My dad is a huge Zappa guy. Absolutely.
I could have guessed that.
Fucking loves him. And we went to the Shut Up and Play the Hits tour. Or not Shut Up. That's the LCD one. What was it called?
The Dweezil did?
It
don't
was
know.
something about playing the hits.
The Zappa hits?
It was Dweezil plays.
Or Dweezil's hits?
Dweezil plays Zappa's playing something. It was a stupid name for a tour.
Shit.
But
What are
whatever.
other stupid names? Dweezil, perhaps?
Moon.
Moon? Is that the other Zappa?
Mm-hmm.
Dweezil and Moon.
Moon Unit.
I actually like the name Dweezil.
I think
that's
it's
a cool
Moon
name.
Unit.
Moon Unit?
Mhm.
Zappa?
But they just go by Moon.
Crazy.
Moon Unit. That is
Yeah.
crazy.
But
My middle name is Moon Unit.
is it really?
Yeah. It's Danger, actually. Danger, Moon Unit. Or. Should we get back to...
What do
You never really said what he did.
What did he do?
He was just a douche.
That's all the article says. Sorry,
Who
he
else
was
got
just a
kicked
douche.
off SNL?
That was all of them.
That's
I
it?
named all of them, yeah.
That list is so interesting because it seems like they don't ever learn their lesson or they're just stupid or both. It's oh, we're gonna have System of a Down, Sneed O'Connor, fucking Frank Zappa, fucking Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
And
Surely
be
they'll behave.
Yeah. These acts
Surely
will
they'll
behave.
fit our arbitrary and very tight constraints that we put on live performances on SNL.
Rage Against the Machine, they never stir any up. They never
Yeah,
stir
yeah.
up anything. or
Nah, they're good boys.
have any cause for,
I'm pretty sure they're pretty happy with the way things are. There's no need to complain, really.
they're content with the way of the world.
yeah, exactly.
Same with System of a Down, famously.
Yeah,
Famously.
yeah. They're anti-protesters. They protest the protesters.
They're really
Deer Dance is
anti-woke.
pro crowd control.
Pro crowd
yeah.
control.
All right, back to hardcore funk, fellas.
Hardcore what?
Hardcore funk. Hardcore punk.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys have anything else to say
Other
about
bands.
it? Other bands you're into?
No, name more bands.
I think current hardcore punk alive now is being carried by record labels such as Convulse Records from Denver, Iron Lung from Seattle, and Not for the Weak from Virginia. I feel like those three are doing the most to not only preserve classic sounds, but also put out interesting shit that progresses the genre, and I feel like it was important to kind of mention those three.
Shout out.
Fuck yeah.
I will check out those labels for sure. Do you consider Yapper, Collin's other band, Yapper, plug. Check them out.
Other band.
Other band outside of Alistair. Do you guys consider yourselves hardcore punk?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like fast power chord based shit. Like I would definitely describe it as like Poison Idea with like Dead Kennedys and like Circle Jerks like type shit. Like
Definitely.
yeah.
Was that a lot of like music you played as an early guitar player? Were you like learning Dead Kennedy songs and stuff?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like like a lot of like Minor Threat riffs and Black
Uh-huh.
Flag riffs all the time. Like it went from like Angus Young playing to like Greg Ginn from Black Flag playing. It's like kind of like a natural progression of like the minor blues shit that's in like Angus Young's
Yeah.
to like the minor blues like psychotic riffing like from Greg Ginn, and so I feel like it like went from there. And then yeah, like there's a lot of like really interesting players who have like their own style like that. Like Greg Ginn was always doing like really weird like unison bends and like jazzy like solos and shit like in the middle of like a
Yeah.
super straightforward seeming song. And like East Bay Rave like from Dead Kennedys was like the incredible tone, like that surf rock kind of playing with like these like cheeky riffs, but with like the reverbed, delayed out tone that's like
Definitely.
creates like a real environment.
The
and not just, like,
musicianship
music.
in hardcore punk is so underappreciated. Like people hear it and just think it's like sloppy or, you know, it's too simple. But just by virtue of like playing that fast and being so tight, like playing the shit you guys do in Yapper and being tight, it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, like Bad Brains, like
Yeah.
they're fucking crazy. Like they're incredible musicians, like mixing like dub and like reggae shit, even with like lightning fast fucking punk shit. It's like, yeah, that's definitely like the perception is like while like anyone can do it, yeah, you definitely have to like
Just to get tight as a band, it just takes a lot of playing together to get to a point where
yeah.
Chemistry.
chemistry, yeah.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to be so locked in.
Mhm.
That's definitely important.
Yeah. Is Yapper 4-piece or 3-piece?
It's a 4-piece.
4-piece. So you're on guitar, there's a singer who just sings.
It is Matt on vocals, Fish
Matt.
on drums, and then
Okay.
Ryan on bass.
Right on bass.
So yeah.
What's been the songwriting process for you guys? Are you like bringing the riffs mostly?
I had 4 songs written to like assemble the band, like similarly to Cowboy, like how Matt approached me with songs. Like I just like formed the band around the songs,
yeah.
and then we wrote from there. Like we ended up doing like the Fortunate Son cover,
Oh, nice.
and then we have like 3 other songs that we just like collaboratively wrote. Like Fish will like come up with drum parts that he wants to play, and then we'll form songs
Put a
around
riff
that.
to that. That's cool.
Yeah, or like we just like always cranking out those riffs. Like Ryan and I live together, so like we're always playing guitar together, and we'll just like both just be playing guitar and like coming up with songs.
That's
and then he'll,
awesome.
like bring it over to the bass. Or like I'll have an idea, like I want to do like a really weird song that's like more noise than like riff, but like casual like Fish drums, like a real like droney, like trudgy kind of song, and then I'll just like
Yeah.
try to go from there. It's fun to like do something like that has like less kind of parameters seemingly than like the ones I put on like for Cowboy. So it's like the demo sounds like, I feel like the songs kind of sound like slightly different from each other, whilst all kind of having like the same feel.
Can we talk about the demo on the pod?
Yeah.
It's not announced yet. It might. Well, we're putting this out tomorrow, I guess. So I guess it won't be announced by tomorrow. But
Yeah.
are you just gonna like drop it when it's ready, or what?
Yeah, it'll being mastered right now. So whenever it's ready, it'll come out.
And
But
5 songs.
Hopefully. Yeah, 4 originals and a Fortunate Son cover.
Fortunate Son.
So.
I'm really excited to hear the Fortunate Son cover.
I'll show you after this. It's fun. We've got a show coming up at the coast on the 25th with Zulu. They're like a prominent hardcore band now, doing a lot of touring and stuff. They're from California.
Oh, sick.
We're opening up for them at the coast.
Right
So
on.
that'll be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you're gonna drop the demo there? Is that what you said?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be out on Bandcamp and YouTube before then, if it's mastered in time. I don't know if it'll be out on like streaming before then because it takes a while. But yeah, I don't know.
How'd you pick Fortunate Son to cover? How'd that come about?
We just like were shopping. We knew we were going to do like one cover, so we were just like shopping it around. And we wanted to pick something that was like slightly less obvious. Like we didn't want to cover just like a punk song already. Because that just seemed like kind of like a layup. But like, so we were going to like doing more like country and like folk songs. Because like they all have like similar sentiment as like punk shit. Like,
yeah.
So we just like ended up on Fortunate Son because it sounds like different enough.
I'm glad to hear you say that because whenever, like, you know, the most common response to what music do you listen to is pretty much everything but country.
I hate that.
I hate that so much. I'm like, original country western, like you said, it's like the opposite side of the coin to punk rock. It was like actual rebels and outlaws making simple music that spoke to fundamental truths.
And then it got commercialized and it got fucking
Yeah,
ruined.
and obviously country today sucks.
Right,
But
like
not
like,
all of it, but
punk and like
popular
folk and country are like two sides of the same coin. Like without a doubt. It's like like we just ended up on Fortunate Son because it just sounded like a good idea and we wanted to play it fast and noisy.
How long was the cover?
Probably like a minute and a half. Maybe.
So that's awesome.
It's literally just like double speed. So yeah.
Do you do 2 verses in it?
we do 3.
3?
Yeah.
Hell yeah! I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Well, guys, like I was saying, I just want to have a casual conversation today. Not too much around hardcore punk.
Casual hangout. Talk about a little hardcore punk.
Talk about a little hardcore punk. Come back to it. I did want to shout out that the Wikipedia page for hardcore punk has an entry for Boston specifically. I didn't bring that up as a hardcore city.
SSD, DYS. A lot of important straight edge bands are from Boston too, not just Minor Threat.
Yeah.
Specifically DYS and SSD Control. I feel like those are 2 important bands that are like fundamental in like the grand scheme of things of punk, but like don't get their recognition for sure.
I'm like just vaguely, I've never listened to DYS or SSD Control. I'm like vaguely familiar with them, so I'll have to check out the Boston scene. But Boston is underappreciated for how much good music comes out of Boston. You're a big Boston fan of the band.
Are they from Boston? I don't know anything about them.
I mean,
I fucking love that band.
yeah. Let's look. Is Boston from Boston? I'm pretty sure at least some members are.
They're from like Chicago or New York. That's got to be the funniest thing ever.
Is Chicago from Chicago?
Is that a band?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Saturday in the Park. Peter Cetera? Is that the dude from Chicago?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
What about Kansas? Are they from Kansas?
No.
Boston.
That one I do know.
Okay.
Boston is a rock band that formed in 1974 in Boston, Massachusetts.
Awesome.
Wow. So they're just like, fuck, can't think of a name.
Yeah. It's like
Where are we right now? Boston?
in a movie when you're like trying to come up with a fake name. And like they're like, what's the name of our
I
band?
am Shirt Pants McFacefeed.
Yeah. Do you guys know Penn Badgley? The actor. He's from Gossip Girl. That tweet has never left my head. It was like, Penn Badgley definitely made up his name when a security guard asked him what he was doing backstage and who he was.
That's incredible.
Penn Badgley. That might be Joe here. We could get Joe on the pod if he comes down.
Hopefully he doesn't get attacked by dogs.
Sounds like he's getting attacked by dogs right now. Should I rescue him? Here, let's pause real quick, fellas. I gotta pee too. Everyone, welcome to the pod, Joe Nash.
Who is also on our former podcast as well.
Yeah, I actually went through the archives. You were the first guest on the first podcast that we did.
I was the first one,
Yeah.
and my hair was different.
Yes, you had dreads then. My hair was different too. A lot different. We both
You
grown
had
up.
long hair too. Yeah.
Yeah. I had real long hair then.
Time
It was about
to be
Joe's
changing.
length. That was the longest it got. Hey, wait, talk on your mic.
Chickadee check, check, check.
Yeah, I can hear you. Word. I'll unmute you so we can hear in our headphones.
Yeah, come on, guy.
Joe doesn't have them.
Should we all de-headphone for
Let's
this?
de-headphone.
Let's get
So we're on Joe's
personal.
Let's
level.
get really,
It's time to get
really
intimate, guys.
casual. Let's get really casual.
So Joe is my cousin
Indeed.
and also my soul brother.
Indeed.
And You
Soul
live in
brother?
Michigan, but you're here in Colorado.
Yes. Yeah. I'm living, in Michigan, the state is a hand. So we always point on our hand when we're
A
trying
very
to tell
convenient
people,
part about Michigan. I
where
love
we
that.
live in
Whenever you
Michigan.
meet anyone
So-
from Michigan, they pull up the
Yeah.
mitt.
which a lot of
Nice.
people look at me like exactly how you're looking at me right now. Like,
You
what are you
kinda-
talking about?
Colorado is a square that's
Yeah.
contained within my palm.
Yeah. But Michigan, right? And then if I had another hand, this would be the UP. And so I'm right here in Michigan right now.
In the middle.
In smack in the palm. But I'm moving back close to just outside Detroit in a couple weeks. So things are changing.
So if I ever need someone to hit Third Man for me and get some exclusive shit,
Yeah,
You're my
I'm your
guy.
guy.
Was that in
Have you been to
Detroit?
Third Man?
there is one in Detroit. Yeah.
Not recently. I have been maybe once or twice in my life, but not recently. I'm excited to go now because I've been living in the rural parts of Michigan. I studied forestry in the Upper Peninsula where there's nothing but trees and water. And where I'm at now is like nothing but trees, water, and like Trumpers and militia. The Michigan militia is like centered in the middle of the
Okay,
state.
now list some negatives. Now list some cons.
So I'm excited to be able to do the like classic Detroit stuff again.
Hell yeah. Do you know where Jack White is from in Detroit? Isn't he like near the airport? From near the airport?
I don't know actually. I don't know exactly where Jack White's from.
I think it's like his first house, like his childhood home, is like in the middle of Detroit.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Like right
I
downtown.
feel like I remember driving to the airport one time and my dad was like, that was Jack White's neighborhood.
Do you have any opinions on Jack White? I don't think I've never asked you about Jack White.
I don't know enough about him, honestly, to
That's
be
fair.
opinionated.
Did you like the White Stripes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
I think they rock. Seven Nation Army was the first song I ever performed live in front of a crowd of people.
Oh, damn, that's crazy.
I had the
What, like
I
a talent show or something?
not like a School of Rock situation.
Oh, cool.
When I was like in
that's
fourth
even
grade.
better.
My School of Rock did Tighten Up by the Black Keys.
You did School of Rock?
I fucking love that, like the last 30 seconds of that song. When it the wah.
So when you say School of Rock, I can only picture Jack Black. Is this any different
It's
Jack
than
the
Black
same
was there,
idea.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
like
Tell me everything I know.
the company was like inspired by the movie.
They
so
like,
it's like
copied the same logo from the movie. And
Oh,
stuff. Like,
really?
yeah,
yeah.
There's a couple around Colorado. There's one in Loveland actually.
It's just
There
like
was a School of Rock club at Rocky.
I didn't realize that.
That's what I was part of.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like a music learning place for children.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. This dude, Jordan Pasquin, he's like I think he's my favorite drummer in Fort Collins. Shout out Jordan Pasquin. He might still teach for School of Rock. He definitely did for a long time. He like had a music degree from Berkeley and then wound up going straight to School of Rock. So there's a lot of like really, really talented people who teach there, and it's like really cheap.
Yeah.
And they put on actual shows.
Oh, no
So kids
shit.
can have like performing experience before they're in their like first.
I actually did
project or
sound
whatever.
for a School of Rock event one time. It was really fun.
I bet.
Yeah,
10
it was
different
a sick
young kid
experience
bands.
for me as a youngin.
Yeah.
As
That's
someone who
great.
like didn't like live in a place where there was like-minded people at school.
Yeah,
So, like
Yeah,
you
they
would like
could
go
sit
to
in a band
like
with.
you would like get through the school day with like the hopes of like seeing the homies at School of Rock.
Yeah.
But like my first, I had to play Seven Nation Army, and so I had this solo, and I had to hit this like boost pedal to play the solo, and I was too nervous and I couldn't boost it, so I just was like playing it like so buried in the mix. Yeah. I remember it fondly.
I remember first show Nerves. The first like actual concert I ever did was one of the biggest concerts I ever did. We somehow got a random like Savage Cabbage, my high school band, our first show, somehow got a gig in Old Town Square for that Realities Ride for Children
What?
concert.
Nice.
So there was probably like 300 people.
You guys got to play like New West Fest too, didn't you?
Yeah, we did New West Fest. We played right before Flow Riders.
Yeah,
Or
that
no, Flow Riders.
Well, I was like, that's
No.
sick.
Flow Bots.
Flowbots.
What's their song?
I can ride my
Handlebars.
bike with no handlebars.
that's
No
right.
handlebars. Steve Miller played the next night, which I think was hilarious.
That's hilarious.
What a dichotomy.
Yeah, that's a funny lineup.
I always would fudge the story and be like, "Yeah, we opened for Steve Miller Band."
No big deal.
I did see
Direct
Steve.
support.
Steve Miller is one of the roughest dudes in rock. I always like put him and David Crosby together. I met David Crosby too. It's another story. I'll tell you guys off mic.
Nice.
Yeah, but the great curmudgeons of rock. Steve Miller is a real shithead because he opened for the Grateful Dead for years. And then as soon as Jerry Garcia died, he just talked mad shit on Jerry Garcia and the Dead.
Bro, what?
That's ruthless.
He was like
Yeah.
scared of him or something.
Yeah.
Like,
I think, yeah, exactly.
He
He was
didn't
like,
want to talk shit while he was
Uh,
alive.
Jerry was too
That's
powerful.
it's
Yeah.
very interesting.
It is interesting. Back to Jack White. I just saw an article that he talked shit on Oasis at a London show he just did. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Saying
It's
what?
like words colliding. He came back out for an encore and he was like, "This is the type of rock you don't get at $500 arena shows." 'Cause that's Oasis tickets are going, or £500, excuse me.
Okay, but how
£500
much
arena
are
shows.
Jack White's? $4.95. Like,
Yeah, well, he's doing like a
Well,
club.
Yeah, he's only playing small clubs, and he's only announcing shows like the day of or the day before.
okay, that's sick.
to like get around the whole ticket price gouging.
Okay, that's
thing.
incredible, and I love that.
Yeah,
that's pretty-
the article made a point of saying what his ticket prices were for that show. It was like £50 or something.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Seeing him, Jack White, now in like a.
I mean, dude,
Club would be pretty
we
sick.
we saw. Well, shit. Did you go to the Fear the Dawn tour? I can't remember.
No,
Well,
I still haven't seen him live.
I took Kelsey to Fear the Dawn, and our tickets were only 64 a piece, and that was at First Bank Center. So still pretty reasonable because I mean the Giz tickets were like $70 a piece,
Yeah.
and Giz is supposed to be for the homies.
Well, I'm surprised
you know?
they're, yeah.
they're like, no, honestly, they're like the modern Grateful Dead.
They really are. They really
They
are.
follow
Yeah.
like the exact same like blueprint.
Even more prolific.
I
though.
think they're more prolific by
Definitely.
far than
think so.
Grateful Dead
far
ever
more
were.
interesting.
Yeah,
Speaking of Australian bands, do you guys like Royal Otis?
I thought you were gonna say Royal Blood for a second.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say too. I don't know that.
I don't know
You
that
don't know
band. No.
Yeah, I was just at a Royal Otis concert in Detroit, and the show, it was at the Majestic Theater, which is connected to the Garden Bowl in Detroit. So if you're going to a show, you get 50% off bowling. So of course you're gonna like bowl
Awesome.
before the show.
Yeah.
And so that's what we were doing, Kate and I, and Royal Otis is really just two guys. I mean, there's now four guys in the band.
Which I didn't know
including
that
the drummer
until you
and
told
the
me that yesterday. There's Roy
keyboardist.
and Otis.
Yeah, so the band.
I did have a.
The band is called Royal Otis. One of the guys' name is Royal, and one of the guys' name is Otis.
Oh, his full name's Royal.
Royel.
Okay.
Interesting.
Australian.
Yeah, yeah, Australian.
That
That
Royale
is an
with
Australian name.
Yeah, and so we're bowling. You know, we got to the show pretty early because we wanted to get close up to the stage, and so we're bowling for quite a while. And some guys start to set up on the lane next to us, and I see that he's got backstage passes, and so I'm like, oh, you know, I wonder who this is going to be. And then both Roy and Otis come out and just start bowling next to us, and so, you know, there's like signs on the door when you're going in to like get a meet and greet, and it's like, well, we're bowling with them, so we did end up getting like front row to the show, and they came out beforehand to like talk to some crowd, and they're like, oh shit, we were just bowling with these guys. I was like, yeah,
Would you define them or classify them? Are they like indie pop kind of?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got super big because they covered a Cranberries song, "Linger." Well, the first one they covered "Murder on the Dance Floor," and that
The cover's really dope.
that got swept away by the social media kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then they covered "Linger," and then that one was like a soundbite on TikTok, I think. And so they just like blew up with
The kids were doing a
like,
TikTok
the-
dance.
Yeah,
Too.
yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
And
That's what
so
it takes
it's
now.
it's wild.
Mhm.
They're just like two young Australian guys. I think they're younger than I am. Yeah. I mean, they rocked it.
Little
Their show was
boys
great,
want to be big
but-
boys.
Yeah.
They're little boys.
they
blew
want to
up
join the
pretty
big boy
quick.
club.
Yeah. They're growing up quick, though.
Mhm.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
They sure do grow up fast.
Yeah.
That's what they always say.
Indeed. Blink of an eye.
Mm-hmm.
Also quick.
You blink and then they're in college,
It's over.
and then you blink again and they're famous rock stars.
Yep.
And you blink again and they're addicted to heroin.
And then they're having a child outside of your marriage.
Have you heard of the Dave? Have you heard of the
Who
Dave
am I
Grohl thing?
plan to father and be
And be a part of their
be
lives.
Therefore,
Yeah. Did you hear about the Dave Grohl thing?
No.
He had a child born out of his marriage.
Okay.
Is the child born yet? Was
yeah,
it born?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He
Does
was
the child have a
he was
name,
like
or-
purposefully vague.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's just
There's
a
like
child.
no age,
It's the
name,
child.
There's a child. Yeah, there is a child.
A little
so
baby girl.
It is born.
I would. Well, I guess don't know for sure, but the post to me made it seem like the kid already exists. Probably was recently born, I would guess.
The other big piece of music news we discussed before you got here was the Jane's Addiction fight. Did you see that?
No.
I hadn't heard about it either. It's pretty crazy. Perry Farrell attacked Dave
Man,
Navarro
dude,
on
fuck.
stage.
What?
Should we pull up the video?
Pull it up. It's so funny.
When did this happen?
Like 2 days ago.
Oh,
So
this
they're
is
on a
lovely.
reunion tour right now because, why not cash in on the nostalgia thing that's going on
Yeah.
right now? So they're touring. I guess there's been tensions for a while. The tour's only been going on for 2 weeks, but there's already been tensions going on for a while. I don't really want to explain anymore because
Did they
the
technically
video,
break up and reform?
Yeah, they broke up.
So they're doing like a full-on reunion.
It was a
tour.
reunion tour. They canceled it today. So they were doing a reunion tour. They had, dude, it was so funny.
Your internet's
Dave
not
Navarro,
working.
like, god damn it. Dave
His
Navarro,
internet fucking never works here.
shut your bitch ass up. It,
It
works
doesn't,
like
dude. You
40%
live
of the
out-
time.
Fucking Verizon.
It's T-Mobile.
T-Mobile.
Thank you. It's either that or HughesNet. But
So
anyway,
they did a relapse tour?
HughesNet.
they were on the reunion tour. Tensions had been mounting because supposedly the band has been too loud and Perry Farrell can't hear himself on stage.
Oh, that's
And then it
tragic.
wound up resulting in Perry Farrell trying to punch Dave Navarro like in the fucking face at the end of a show or in the middle of a show. And then they had to end the show early. And then
Yeah, that's a show.
like 2 days later, they're like,
It's a
yeah,
real
we have to
showstopper.
cancel the rest of the tour because Perry Farrell is like
Feral.
mentally unwell. Yeah. He went feral.
The Stone Roses did a reunion tour a couple years ago, and I remember the drummer stormed off stage during a show, like in the middle of a song without telling anybody because he couldn't hear himself in his in-ears, and he
Yeah.
got all pissed.
I
and
remember
just-
that.
And then the rest of the band on stage were just like, "Wow, that guy is such a dick." Like, you just
It's
were like-
crazy how that
Yeah.
winds up being such a tense thing for people. Like every
Yeah.
time I can't hear myself, I
just accept it.
I'm just like I
Fucking
can't hear
play.
myself.
But-
It's whatever.
Yeah.
Those haven't been during shows in front of like 50,000 people.
Yeah, but it's the same diff.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like even more so to be calm and collected in front of.
we don't
more
even
people.
have IEM mixes or we don't even have IEMs, bro. We're using fucking wedges
I saw the dude from.
You get a
Sleep.
wedge?
sometimes.
I saw Sleep like a couple years ago, and they like the dude, like the guitar player, like walked off stage like angrily, like
Yeah,
mid song.
Sleep also broke up. Like
They
because
broke
of,
up?
Yeah, they said they were done because of that.
Because of the show,
The
the
show
Denver
in
show
Denver.
you're at.
Yeah.
So my roommate, so Brian, who plays bass in Yapper, doesn't remember this, but was at the show and did not consume like any weed. But for whatever reason, doesn't fucking remember
Contact high.
that he like was having technical difficulties during Dragonaut and then slammed his fucking guitar down and went like this to the crowd and then walked
then
off
left.
stage and
Yeah.
then the band finished the song. And he was like, "Oh, I don't remember that."
Which it was it's like a 20-minute long song and he left in like minute 5.
So they kept playing for like a long
Yeah,
time
it
with
was
no
pretty
guitar.
awkward.
You
And
were
then-
there too?
No, I wasn't there. No,
Oh.
I was supposed to be there and then I had to work. You understand based on my job at the time why that was a
422 or
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, like that was super strange.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know they broke up.
Yeah, they said they were done because of a similar thing. Like tensions had been mounting for a while, and they just weren't happy performing.
That guy's probably hard to work with. He's like a conspiracy theory.
he's a
like,
big.
nut.
I think that was also part of it. Was
he's just
that
like
he started?
he's like a Facebook like uncle.
yeah, exactly.
Facebook uncle. That's very much how I picture
They're
him.
eating the dogs. He's one of those.
He's from Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a tinfoil hat fucking guy, for sure.
Have you guys ever been at a show where other than that one, where an artist is freaked out on stage.
Never.
The only one that came to mind for me was I saw Brother Ali at the Aggie one time. And this was shitty. Homeboy Sandman opened for him. If you guys are familiar, Homeboy Sandman's pretty cool. And for whatever, like Homeboy Sandman was killing it. And for whatever reason, during his set, people just started shouting Ali, Ali, like to bring Brother.
Damn.
Really shitty. And so Brother Ali came out and like scorned the crowd for a good like 10 to 12 minutes. Just being like, that's so fun. I have half a mind to not even fucking play this show. And just like went off. And then I think he walked off stage and like cooled off for a second and then came back out. And
Damn.
Well, that's cool.
the video finally loaded. Nope, never mind. It didn't. It's not working. But yeah, that's the
Maybe
only
it's
one
your computer that doesn't work.
It could
my
be.
computer works great.
No.
I tested it earlier today.
I tested it.
Legally, he can't say on the podcast whether it's his computer's fault or not.
That goes against the terms of my
Several
contract.
policies, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen an artist freak out on stage?
No. I kind of wish I had.
It's an interesting experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember feeling really bad during the Aggie show.
Yeah, that
was
was
weird.
that just stinks.
Yeah.
It stunk. It really brought down the mood. And I wasn't yelling Ollie, but I just felt like disappointed to be
Yeah.
Part of
involved in
it,
it. Yeah. And then I remember there's a guy in front of me during that set who was like probably 350, 400 pounds of like muscle. I mean, like a big guy, but like very muscular, taller than me. And he had some sort of bad trip. And in the middle of Brother Ali's set, he just started yelling and violently swinging his arms back. And the dude I was with got an elbow right to the nose. And then like 3 security guards rushed in. That's how many it took to get the guy out. And they like literally had to drag him out.
Holy shit.
That happened like shortly after we got scorned by Brother Ali.
the
It was not a good show.
There's been a bunch of times where I've been at shows and there's been audience
People
member
freaking
freak
out.
outs.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's plentiful.
Tomas and I, he brought me to see.
Shout out Tomas.
He brought me to see some. I can't remember who it was. Sorry, Tomas. Some Grateful Dead cover tribute, whatever. And
There's
before
lots of
the
them.
music
Yeah.
like even started, there was like 2 like gray-haired dudes in tie-dye like shoving on each other like in the crowd like oh, it was so funny. We were just standing there just like waiting, and all of a sudden like a bunch of people were just moved because one of them was just like getting like pushed through the crowd.
I've done sounds for a lot of Grateful Dead cover bands.
Yeah.
It's most of what I mix in Colorado. I specialize in Grateful Dead cover bands. And they're the roughest crowds
Why are they so
I've ever
angry?
seen. The way
Why are
I
they
describe,
so quick to fight and why are they so quick to action?
I call them
the
all
brown
uptight
acid.
hippies. That's my phrase for people who frequent Grateful Dead cover shows. Uptight hippies. They're very wealthy, very entitled, think they own the venue, and are not afraid to be confrontational with people. That's been my experience. And it's unfortunately soured my feelings of the Grateful Dead, of a band of which I already had complicated feelings for.
I feel like, I mean, I can't speak for it because I don't know, but at that show, at least that show, it seemed like there was less so like dirty hippie people, and yeah, more like
Yeah.
kind of
Hippies with
affluent people,
money, kind
Yeah.
of cosplaying as
like
hippies,
buying
sort
the
of.
merch table, getting
Cosplaying
as
like the
hippies.
posters.
Yeah,
You know?
because it's
Yeah.
convenient for
Right.
them to be
Yeah.
hippie.
Right.
Damn.
Um,
Sorry, Tomas. That's like Tomas's favorite
that-
thing on earth is Grateful Dead cover bands.
yeah. Well, Joe's a big Deadhead. Well, would you call yourself a Deadhead? A fan of the
I
fan
think
of the
so.
Dead.
Yeah. I've never been able to get into the cover bands.
The cover
though.
bands, yeah.
And I don't know why. Because it doesn't seem like it should make that much of a difference, but and even like I went to a Dead & Co show years ago in Boulder, and it was almost like sad. I mean, they did
Yeah.
great, but it was like, Bob, your voice is like not doing well, man. I mean, he just sounds like he's been singing every day for,
Yeah.
a millennia.
Is Bob the only
80
one who
years.
sings, or did John Mayer sing?
No,
too?
John sings a lot, but
Okay.
and luckily he's like now taking over enough that I don't feel as sad. But it's obviously a lot different than like traditional Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
with John.
Didn't they say that like Dead and Co was supposed to be done? Like, didn't they announce that John Mayer was like done doing that at some point?
Yeah, I thought they did sort of a farewell tour.
Because they still
Yeah,
are
but
playing
now
like
they
a
have a
metric fuckload of
residency in
shows.
Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought him playing with them was like for their like final tour like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Everybody thought that they were going to be done, and now they have a residency in Vegas at the Sphere.
Interesting.
And so
The Sphere.
yeah.
You know, if you can.
What are your feelings on the Sphere, Colin?
Yeah.
I've been seeing shit about specifically. You reminded me about like the Dead and Co shows, and I mean, it looks sick. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just like directly cashing in on like
Oh yeah.
the nostalgia and like, whoa, they can put up the wall of sound on the fucking Sphere.
Like the
It's
only
like-
bands that have been there have been nostalgia acts.
I was gonna. It's
nostalgia
so
tours.
bizarre. The bands that were first to the Sphere: U2, Fish, and now Dead and Co.
Yeah.
What a
Oh,
weird
Fish?
snapshot
That's
of
interesting
how
that
lo-
Fish
Fish did,
beat
like,
out Dead
3
and Co
nights.
to their.
That's
They did
feel like
more than
they're
3
always
nights.
in the
They,
second
they
night.
did like
Yeah.
a
It was
long,
like 2
almost
weekends.
U2 like
It wasn't
residence. It wasn't
nearly
as
as long
long,
as
but
U2.
they did a lot of nights.
how many years do you think
I
it'll
could be
be
wrong
before
about that. I don't know,
Usher is
actually.
at the Sphere?
Well, he's like the more obvious one.
Yeah, I
Like,
could see like a
You'd
Pitbull,
think like a Kendrick, yeah.
Well, I don't know Kendrick. Like I think
Or
I think
like
Joe's right
the
on the money. Like a
universe of-
2000s beloved R&B
Jay-Z.
pop artist. Yeah,
Mhm.
like,
Like
a
a Jay-
Jay-Z or
like Jay-Z would do.
Beyonce Sphere
They-
residency.
Yeah.
Just
Without
funny
a
that
doubt.
U2 was the first one to do it.
Well, it was like Bono's. It was like Bono's whole vision. Like, well, it wasn't Bono's
To
whole
play in a
vision,
Sphere?
but Bono wanted a venue that was like Sphere-esque, you know, and they were like on the ground floor for like the construction and the design and all that bullshit.
You know who else wanted a Sphere? Adolf Hitler. There were plans by Adolf Hitler to build a giant sphere
Where?
in Germany.
For what purpose?
He liked the idea of
Have
spheres.
U2 play.
I'm sorry, I don't know why I brought that up. I was gonna joke about Bono being Hitler, but
Hi, Bono.
all right, that's a good note to wrap this up on. Thanks, Joe, for popping in.
Yeah. Thanks
It
for
was
having
great.
me.
Colin, as always,
Thanks for
thank
having
you for
me.
gracing the pod.
That's always a blast.
Indeed. Thanks for listening, everybody. Good night.
Good night, everybody.